My stepbrother framed me and got me kicked onto the streets at 16, then married my high school girlfriend and bragged about it 30 years later. So I showed up unannounced and made his entire life crumble in front of his family. I was 13 when my mom moved us into Robert's house. He was her new husband and had 2 kids of his own. Mark was my age and Emily was 8. The day we moved, I was carrying my last box up the stairs when I looked up to see Mark staring at me like I was already a problem. That look stayed. It was like he had decided before I even said hello that I didn't belong. I walked into my room and saw it was half the size of his. My box of baseball cards, the one thing I cared about that used to be my dad's, had been crushed by Mark when he stepped on my box. No one said anything about it, and I was too scared to. Dinner that night was weird. Robert introduced everyone like it was some big family gathering. When my mom said I was good at drawing, Mark stood up and started pulling out soccer trophies from the living room shelf, one after another, until the table was covered. He didn't say anything, just looked at me and smiled like he'd won something. The next few years were more of the same. Mark would mess with my homework, say I didn't do my chores when I did, take credit for stuff I did around the house, tell people at school I smelled or that I cried myself to sleep. He was good at making people believe things. Everyone liked him. He was funny, loud, always had a joke ready. I was quiet, kept to myself, helped Emily with her homework when no one else would. She was the only one in that house who liked having me around. Things got worse when I started dating this girl Lisa at school. She was new and sweet and laughed at my dumb jokes. She liked how quiet I was. That drove Mark crazy. He tried asking her out before me and she turned him down. He never got over it. One afternoon, I got home and Mark said he lost his phone. He asked me to help him look for it. I followed him upstairs and he told me to check under my bed while he went to check the laundry. I didn't think much of it until 20 minutes later when he came back with our dad. He walked in shouting. Mark was behind him with this look on his face I still remember, like he couldn't wait to watch the next 5 minutes. Robert marched over to my bed, flung open my wardrobe and pulled out a bunch of Emily's underwear. My stomach dropped so fast I couldn't breathe. I told him I didn't put them there. I had no idea how they got there. I looked over at Mark and he was fake shocked, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Emily was crying and kept asking why I took her stuff. Robert didn't ask questions. He grabbed me by the collar and dragged me out of the house before I could even grab my shoes. He threw me against the wall in the driveway and screamed that I was sick and needed help. Then he shoved me to the ground and locked the door behind me. My mom didn't even fight for me. I remember standing there barefoot, staring at the porch light. I knocked once, then again, then I gave up. I slept in a porta potty at the park that night. Nobody came to get me the following day, and I honestly thought I'd never see any of them again. 30 years passed by. The only thing I heard was Mark somehow ended up marrying Lisa, but not much else. Until last week. I came home from work, my wife Sarah looking like she'd seen a ghost. She handed me a printed email, an email that was from Emily. I didn't want to read it. I hadn't spoken to her in 30 years, but she told me I needed to. It was long, but the important part was this. Mark got drunk last weekend. He and his buddies were talking and my name came up. He started bragging about how he set me up and how he took my girl. Said I probably died on the streets. Said it like a joke. Lisa was there in the next room, and she finally heard the truth. She called Emily. Emily spent all weekend trying to find me, and she did. She wrote that she was sorry, that she never forgot what happened, that she missed me and wanted to come meet the family again. But the whole time reading that email, there was one thing on my mind. I should be over it. But Mark ruined my life and took everything from me. I was coming back, and I was getting more than just revenge. I read the email twice, then closed the laptop. Jamie was watching me carefully. Are you okay? She asked. I wasn't. I felt like someone had ripped open an old wound and poured salt in it. All those feelings I'd buried, the abandonment, the betrayal, the helplessness, came flooding back. But mixed in with all that pain was something else, something hot and sharp. Anger. He married Lisa, I said finally. That detail kept sticking in my brain. After ruining my life, Mark had gone on to marry the one good thing I'd had in that house. Jamie knew some of my history. I told her the basics when we got serious, that I'd been kicked out as a teenager, that my stepbrother had set me up, that my mom had chosen her new family over me, but I'd never told her all the details. It hurt too much to talk about. Now I found myself telling her everything. About the baseball cards, about the constant sabotage, about Lisa, and how she was the first person who seemed to see me, about that final day when everything fell apart. I talked until my voice was hoarse. When I finished, Jamie reached across the table and took my hands. What do you want to do? She asked. That